Oh, oh, this is terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, Peter.
What? Who is it? Oh, hi. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
What are you doing here?
I can't believe all this happened today like that. Oh,
Oh.
he died.
No, don't say that.
He died on the cross
No.
so quickly. I couldn't believe it. Usually it takes days for people who are hanging on the cross to die, but that was just one day. When the soldiers came with the spear and they put it in Jesus' side, you could see the blood and the water coming out. I mean, he was
I don't want to hear this.
And then it was amazing that Nicodemus and Joseph came and they took Jesus' body down and they put him in their own tomb. I didn't see you there. Were you there?
No, I wasn't there. I was there earlier, but I left. When he was at Pilate's court, I left.
Oh, I must have just missed you. Yeah, I ran all the way from Bethany when I heard, and I came, and they were just starting to take Jesus to Herod's court from Pilate. Oh, I remember all those times he had said, especially the last couple of weeks, how he was going to die. I just didn't think it was on a cross. And I wanted to show him how much I appreciate what he had done for me, how much I loved him. That's why I remember at the assignments feast I had poured some perfume on his feet because Jesus has done so much for me.
Wait a second, Mary. That's why you washed his feet?
Yeah.
Because you thought he was going to die?
Yeah, he kept saying that. Don't you remember? He said it several times.
No, he said stuff like that, but it never really made sense. I'll tell you what he did say that made sense. That he was the Messiah. He came down here. I mean, everything was so perfect. Look at all the prophecies he fulfilled. He was going to be our Messiah. The one to save us from Rome and the one to make Israel just be great and wonderful again. That's why he was coming down here, not to die on a cross and get a spear in his side. You can't be serious. That's just terrible to even think of. Why would you want to say that?
I don't know, but that's what he had said. I didn't think it was going to be that way, though.
Well, I didn't think it was going to be any way. Because don't you remember just a few days ago when he came into Jerusalem on that donkey?
Yeah.
You were there, remember?
Yeah.
We sent Thomas to get you when we saw what was going to happen because this was the day we were waiting for. We knew you'd want to see it, Mary. Oh my goodness, what a day.
They were so excited.
They were so excited. They were cutting down palm branches and waving them and putting their coats on the road just like they do for a king because he was behaving like a king. Finally. I mean,
Hosanna?
yes. That's what you do for a king. When you're the Messiah, you're supposed to act like a king. That's what we've been telling him for 3 years. We tried so hard, so many times to tell Jesus, become king now. You can feed 5,000 people. You can heal people. You can raise them from the dead. You need to be king now. And finally, he was acting like a king when he came into Jerusalem. And then right after that, he goes to the temple. Oh my goodness, he had so much authority then. Yeah, he came in there and all the people were just selling animals and fighting and arguing about money. And he just told them, get out of my father's house. Clean this out. And it was the best. Oh, because he had authority. He was acting like a king finally.
And he healed so many people that day too?
Yes, because that's the kind of power he has. Somebody with that kind of power shouldn't just be hiding and just be quiet and humble like that. Oh. And yet the very next day, he starts talking about again how he's going to go down to Jerusalem and be killed and stuff. And we couldn't believe it. There's no way. There's just no way. And you know, then it gets time to be Passover and we're going to have the Last Supper. And he told us to go get him a room. And I thought, okay, there's going to be a pretty fancy palace room. That's what you need to have. If you're going to be king and you're going to have an upper room, a Passover supper, well, it's going to be a pretty nice setting. It's got to be maybe big pillars and maybe there'll be like hundreds of servants bringing you the food. And instead it was this room right here, this room that we're sitting in right now. John and I found it. We had to follow some guy who was carrying a pitcher of water, and he led us right to this place, and we told him the master needs a room. And he said, well, this is it right here. And I was like, what do you mean this is it right here? This is just a little tiny room on the top of somebody's house. It's not for a king. But we went back and told Jesus, because that's what he wanted, and we ended up here.
So what happened?
Well, what do you think happened?
You guys just had a Passover meal?
Well, no, because see, first you're supposed to wash your feet.
Right.
And there wasn't a servant there.
There wasn't?
No. And so now we're all sitting around the table waiting to get our feet washed, and nobody knows what's going to happen next. And then at one point, I think it was Bartholomew was like, well, aren't you going to wash my feet, Peter? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to wash your feet. I'm going to be one of Jesus' top helpers. He takes me everywhere with him. I don't wash feet. And then like Judas started arguing with me about that, and then John and James started getting upset. We all just started arguing with each other. But it makes sense. I mean, if he's going to be king, we need to know who's going to be like second in line and like in charge of the army, in charge of the treasury and all that kind of stuff. You need to figure that out now. You can't just have everybody being, the same. So we were fighting and arguing, and just nobody was even feeling hungry at that point. Next thing I know, Jesus is kneeling down next to me, and he's got a towel and a bowl of water, like he wants to wash my feet.
Jesus?
Yes, Jesus. I mean, this is supposed to be King Jesus. You don't wash feet. Maybe somebody else in this room needs to wash feet, but not Jesus. You just don't do that. I told him, you don't wash my feet. Don't touch my feet, okay?
What did he say?
He said if he didn't wash my feet, then I couldn't be part of his kingdom. And I thought, okay, well then maybe what he wants is for, like if he washes me special, like I'll be first. I'll be like the boss. So I told him, well, wash all of me. Wash me from my head to my feet. And he's like, no, I'm just washing everybody's feet the same. Because, again, there he is, just treating everybody the same. Like we're all equal or something. So then after that, then we ate the food, and Judas left. He got upset about something. He left after a little while. The rest of us were sitting there, and Jesus is talking, and there he goes again, talking about, I'm going to leave you now. I'm going away from you. And none of us knew what he was talking about. Like, what are you talking about, Jesus? Why do you keep using these kind of words? You're going to be our king. You're not going to go away from us. And then he told us, he told me, I don't know if I want to tell you what he told me.
Why? What did he say?
He says, he looks right at me, because I was like, okay, Jesus, you know what? You're not going to leave us. We're gonna be right here with you. And if somebody tries to hurt you, we'll all defend you. And he said, well, no, you're all going to run away from me tonight.
That's what he said?
Yeah, this was just last night. He said that you're all going to run away from me tonight. And I said, well, maybe all of these other guys will run away from you. And they weren't happy when I said that. But I was like, Jesus, maybe all of these other guys will run away from you. But I would never run away from you. I would defend you, even if I had to die. And then Jesus said to me, and he wasn't angry. He just said it. He was just like, you know what? Actually, tonight, before the rooster crows 2 times, late in the night, you're gonna say you don't even know me, that you're not even my friend. And you're going to do it 3 times. And I was like, there's no way that's going to happen, Jesus. I would never do that. I'm right here for you. In fact, I'm the most prepared to be your buddy. In fact, look right here. And I showed him. I was like, I got a sword right here. I brought a sword with me just in case anything ever happens. I've got my sword. And my brother Andrew, he whispered at me. He was like, you've never used that sword. You don't even know how to use a sword. I was like, shh, be quiet, Andrew. All right? I've got a sword. At least I'm here to stand up for Jesus.
And then what happened?
Well, then we sat around for a little while longer. Jesus kept talking about stuff. And then we sang a hymn. And Jesus wanted to go pray in Gethsemane, like he likes to do. So we all went out there. It was getting kind of dark. It was probably like about 8 o'clock or something. So we went marching up there to Gethsemane, and Jesus was just looking really tired and really sad and stuff. And then we were all going to kneel down to pray, and Jesus told me, well, you, Peter, and James and John, you come with me over to this part. We'll pray over here. I was like, yeah, see, I'm better than these other guys. Jesus always picks me to go special to go pray. These other guys, they stay over here just in their clump of regular disciples, and they don't even pray. They just fall asleep right away, But Jesus brings me and James and John over here, and we get to pray with him. So we got over there. It's a special place. He always goes there to pray. And I've got a special spot I like to pray on. There's a big rock, and then it's got like this nice mossy ground right in front of it. So when I kneel on it, my knees don't hurt. And the rock is kind of mossy too, so when I lay my head on it, it doesn't hurt. And it's so comfortable that I usually don't fall asleep. But I pray for a little bit first. Not like those other guys. I pray for a little bit. So I kind of fell asleep, and I could hear Jesus. He was crying and stuff sometimes, but
You didn't go to him?
I didn't want to disturb him. He was praying. But then what disturbed me was I started hearing noises. I knew it wasn't Jesus making these noises. It sounded like metal things clanking on metal and like a lot of feet tromping. And then there was like people talking and trying to find their way through the trees to us. And I could see some torches coming. So I kind of woke up more and I woke up James and John. And it was a mob, Mary. It was just a big mob of people. It was soldiers and temple guards and priests. A bunch of rough guys who were just like big, strong guys with like sticks and torches and stuff. And
So what do you do?
well, I was like, okay, I got to get the disciples ready. We're going to have to stand up for our master right now. We got to defend him. Maybe we can get all 11 of us, because Judas had left. All 11 of us just, we could all make a line and we could like block them. And so I turned around to get the guys and they were all gone. They just took off running. I couldn't believe it. Not a single person stayed. James, John, Thaddeus, Bartholomew, they all just gone.
Oh.
So then it was just me, and I was like, okay, well, at least I got my sword. Now's the time, Peter. I got to do it. I got to do it. I'd never used my sword before, but I grabbed it out and I just started swinging. I was like, I'm just gonna be defender of Jesus, even if he said I wasn't gonna be. I'm gonna show him right. And I started swinging, and I missed everybody. I couldn't hit anything. And finally, I went at one guy's throat. It's like ha! And I missed him entirely. I just chopped the top of his ear off. And Jesus grabbed my wrist and pulled it down. He said, "Stop it! Don't do that." And then he healed the guy.
He healed the guy?
Yeah. The guy who was part of the group coming to get him, he heals him. He just fixes his ear. Even the blood that was on his face just disappeared. It was just totally better. And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. If I can't use my sword, what am I supposed to do? So I took off running too. All the guys took off running. I don't know where some of them even went. I think Thomas was heading out in your direction.
Yeah, that's why I came. He came there in the middle of the night to Bethany, and he told me about that, and that's why I took off running to Jerusalem, because I wanted to know what was happening.
Well, I didn't run as far as Bethany. I stuck around, actually. Me and John, we stuck pretty close. We followed through the trees, and the mob took Jesus, and they took him over to Pilate's court. John knew some people there, so he was able to get us in. We got in through the gate, and we just stood around and waited for a long time. It was really cold. It was getting pretty late at night, right? I think when we got there, actually, I heard a rooster crow one time, so I knew it was getting, pretty late. So when we were gathering around this fire, just trying to stay warm and waiting to see what was going to happen, and John and I are trying to look like we're, just regular guys. We don't want anybody to know that we're like friends of Jesus. I mean, then they might, attack us or arrest us, or I don't know. But I was talking to John at one point, and I don't know what gave me away. If it was like the way my voice sounds, or the way I dress, or the fact that I smell like fish most of the time. But somebody was like, "Hey, you're one of those fishermen from Galilee, aren't you? One of those guys with Jesus?" And I didn't want to get caught, so I told him, "No, I'm not. I'm not. You must be thinking of somebody else." And another guy overheard us, and he was like, "No, I'm pretty sure. I've seen you. I was there when Jesus fed the 5,000 people. You were one of the guys handing out some of the bread." And I was like, "No, that wasn't me. Leave me alone." I kind of pushed him away, and I went to another part, so I just get away from those guys. And then I started hearing some noise because they were bringing Jesus out, and it was on a tall balcony, and there were soldiers around him, and there was Pilate, the governor, up there, and he was getting ready to say something. I don't know. And I was looking around, and there's all these people, and I could recognize so many of them. These are people that had been right there just a few days ago in Jerusalem, waving palm branches and saying, "Hosanna, Hosanna!" These were people who wanted Jesus to be king too. And now you know what they were yelling? Mary, they were yelling, "Crucify him! We don't have any king except for Caesar!" So I knew I had to stand up for Jesus at that point. And since they were yelling loud, I figured nobody would hear me if I just said something. I was like, "No, let him go. Don't do it." And still somebody heard me right next to me, and was like, "See, I knew it. You're one of Jesus' disciples. In fact, I'm pretty sure, isn't your name Peter?" And I had to just tell him. I was like, "I am not who you think I am. I don't even know that guy. I don't even care about that guy. All right, he's just a loser who can't even become king right. Look at him. He's all tangled up there, tied up and stuff. Why would I hang out with a guy like that? All right, so stop calling me that." And then I looked over, and I realized that Jesus had heard me. He was looking right at me. And then I heard the loudest rooster crow in the world right behind me. There was a rooster just right up here on this post, and he just crowed like 2 feet away from my ear, and I realized it was exactly what Jesus said. He said, right before the rooster crows for the second time, you're going to deny me 3 times. And I'd done it 3 times. And I just couldn't.
Was Jesus upset when he looked at you?
I don't know. He just looked at me. It was like he was sad, and it was like he was like, I don't know if he was saying, I told you so, or like, I don't know what he was thinking, Mary. I just knew that for sure he'd never be able to forgive me. And I just got out of there. I turned around, I ran out, I pushed my way out of the gate. I didn't know where to go at first. I ran all the way back to Gethsemane. I found my comfy rock, and I just curled up on it and cried. And the thing is, I could still hear people screaming. They were so loud. So many people down there in the city. I could hear them yelling, crucify him, crucify him. And then there were shouts of people like marching around. And then I heard them start coming out of the town and going up towards that hill, you know, where they crucify people. And I just didn't want to hear the sounds of nails or anything. So I came in here and closed the door and just been trying not to listen anymore, because the only thing I can hear is that rooster crowing. And I know Jesus said it was going to happen, but I did it anyways, and there's no way he'll forgive me.
Peter, I don't think that's right, Peter. Do you know what I saw? I saw them put the cross on Jesus after they whipped him. And then they put the crown of thorns on his head. And he marched toward Calvary.
And I wasn't there. See? I wasn't there. So he's not going to forgive me.
He couldn't even carry the cross after a while for all the beatings he had and everything. They got some other guy to carry it for him. And they got to the hill. And then they put the nails in his hands and in his feet. And listen, the whole time, he didn't fight, he didn't scream. You know what he said?
What?
He said, forgive him, Father, forgive him. The people who would nail him to the cross. Peter, he asked for forgiveness for them. He forgave him. And then they put him up on the cross. And then people were yelling at him and making fun of him. And there were 2 thieves on either side of him. And one of them was just yelling at him too. But the other thief, you know what he said?
What did he say?
He talked to Jesus and he said, we've done wrong. He was trying to stop the other thief from making fun of him. He said, we've done wrong. We deserve to be here, but this man is innocent. And then he turned to Jesus and he said, remember me when I come into your kingdom. And you know what Jesus said? He said, you'll be with me. Someday you'll be with me in paradise. Forgive the thief too, Peter. That's how Jesus was all his life. Just loving and forgiving people.
Yeah, all his life. But he's dead now. You told me they put the spirit inside, they just put him in a tomb. He's dead. So what good does that do me? He could forgive people when he was alive, but he can't forgive me when he's dead.
But he already did, Peter, when he looked at you. Jesus never held anything against people. He loved you more than all the other people. If he could forgive the Roman soldiers who were nailing you, Peter, he loved you way more than that. I think Jesus would forgive you too.
We'll never know. In that tomb. And I'm just staying here. As long as I can, I'm just going to stay in this room. I'm just not coming out.
I'm going to go back on Sunday. We didn't get a chance to really bury him, to anoint him or anything like that, or wrap his body up, so I'm going to go back on the tomb on Sunday and do that.
Well, fine. You'll stay here with me in the meantime?
Yeah, I'll stay here with you.
That'd be nice. Thanks.
It's been such a terrible, terrible Sabbath. So sad. Jesus died on Friday on the cross. And we've just been staying in the upper room all through the Sabbath. It was the worst Sabbath ever. Now I'm going to the tomb because the other women and I were going to go over there and we're going to take some spices and rewrap Jesus' body. We didn't have a chance to do that on Friday. It just hurts my heart so much. You know, there was a big stone in front of the tomb. I don't know how we're going to manage to push it aside. We're just a few women, and it took so many strong men to push it in front of the tomb. And then the soldiers, I don't even know if they're going to let us come anywhere near the tomb. This is so terrible. All right, I'm going to go over there. Oh my goodness. The stone was rolled away from the tomb. And the guards were gone. And when I looked inside the tomb, the body was gone. What do you think happened to Jesus' body? Oh no, I have to tell the disciples. Peter!
Oh, good grief. Like this weekend couldn't get any worse. I spent this whole past 2 days sitting in that room with all the other disciples, and everybody's just sitting around crying and scared, and I'm feeling the worst. And now, as if it's not bad enough that we're all sad because Jesus died, now Mary says the tomb is open and the body's gone? Oh, this is just great. This is just great. Some of the other disciples already went over to check it out. John, he went running off. I'm going to go catch up to him in a minute, but maybe I shouldn't even go. I mean, they're still his disciples. I'm not really his disciple anymore, am I? I mean, I said in front of everybody, I'm not Jesus' disciple. I don't even know who he is. Maybe I shouldn't even bother going. No, I should go. I should go because Jesus was my friend. Even if I didn't admit it at the end, even if I lied at the end and said he wasn't my friend, I should go anyhow. Check it out. They probably stole the body. Who could have done that? And then they're going to blame the disciples, of course. It's a good thing I'm not a disciple anymore. At least they won't blame me. What? Okay. Mary was not lying. But I don't get it. John got there ahead of me, and then when I arrived, he was like, well, go in and look. Go inside the tomb and see. I mean, the stone is out of the way. We can go in. And I was like, I'm not going in there. You go in there. You got here first. You go in there, John. So John went in. I was too scared to go in there. I'm not scared of tombs or anything. I mean, I'm just really scared to see if Jesus is gone or not. I don't want to see his dead body. But he wasn't in there, John said. His body wasn't there at all. And then John came out and he told me, he's gone. And there's something weird. And I was like, what do you mean, something weird? Isn't it weird enough that he's gone already? And John said, no, it's even weirder than that. There's some sheets, some long white strips of cloth, the things that the women call grave clothes, and they're all folded up and put on top of the table that he was lying on. And I didn't get it at first. I was like, okay, so what's weird about that? He says, well, think about it. If some robbers came and they stole Jesus' body, they would have been fighting their way through soldiers to get there because there were soldiers guarding it. Then they would have taken the rock and had to move it aside. There would probably had to have been like 20 guys just to move that big rock. They moved the rock, and then they would have gone in and grabbed Jesus. And you're telling me they would have taken the time to fold up his grave clothes really nicely and neatly and set him down when more soldiers could be attacking them at any moment? I thought, you're right, that is weird. Why would anybody fold those up? I mean, if they were going to take Jesus, maybe they wouldn't have taken the grave clothes off of him. They would have just grabbed him, wrapped up in the sheets, and run off with him. Or they might have pulled all the grave clothes off of him and just left them in a heap in the corner. They wouldn't have folded them up. That doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. I don't get it. I'll have Mary check it out. She figures this stuff out better than I do.
Why didn't Peter go inside the tomb and look for clues? What could have happened to Jesus' body? Who could have taken it? What did they do with it? Maybe I can find somebody to ask in the garden. There's got to be somebody working over there. Oh, where is Jesus' body? Peter!
What?
I found it, Peter!
Did you find the cemetery worker?
No!
A soldier?
No,
Well,
Peter.
what are you talking about?
Let me go back to the beginning. Peter, I went over to the tomb. Okay?
Yes.
The stone had been rolled away.
I saw that.
Yeah, and there were two men sitting there in white. They were really bright, shiny.
Oh, I hadn't seen those guys.
Yeah, and I asked them. I said, they asked me why I was crying, and I said because Jesus' body was gone.
Pretty obvious.
And they didn't seem to know anything, so I turned around to go and look for somebody else, and then I kind of bumped into somebody.
Okay.
And I was crying so hard, I thought maybe it's a gardener. Maybe he knows.
Sure, sure.
And so I said, do you know where they put Jesus' body? And you know what?
What?
He said it.
You said what?
He said Mary. Just like that.
Wait, how did the gardener know your name?
No, not the gardener. It was Jesus. Peter.
What?
Peter, he's alive.
No.
Just like he promised.
No, that can't
Yes, it was him. It was Jesus.
No. Okay, wait. If that was Jesus, then who were the two other guys in the white?
Those were angels.
What?
Yes, the other women told me. They said when they had gone this morning, I must have just missed them, that they were sitting there, and in those bright shining clothes, and they said,
yeah.
yes, Jesus is not there. He's risen from the dead. And
How can that be?
And the angel said that Jesus told the disciples and all of us to meet him in Galilee. Peter, he's going to meet us over there.
Well, okay, that's great. He wants to see the disciples.
What's the matter?
Well, you may have forgotten, Mary, I'm not one of his disciples anymore. I said everybody, I'm not his disciple. I yelled it, I was screaming it, I was almost throwing a temper tantrum in Pilate's court. I said, I'm not his disciple, leave me alone, I don't love this guy. He saw me say it too, so there's no way that he could have been talking about me. So I'm glad that he wants to see the rest of you guys, but I'm just going to stay back here and...
Oh, Peter, even if you don't call yourself a disciple or think that you are, Jesus still wants to see you. The angels, they specifically say, tell the disciples and Peter. He wants to see you, Peter. He called you by name.
Me?
He wants to see you specifically.
Me?
Yes, Peter.
But that's impossible. But then again, it's impossible that he'd be alive. I mean, so if he can be alive, and that's impossible, then maybe he could even forgive me. And,
Yes, Peter.
and that's impossible too, so maybe it's all possible.
Yeah.
Let's go. What are we waiting for, Mary? Let's go.